I was going through my life. I left school at 15. I didn't take a major exam because I went to be a professional footballer with Coventry and others. And then my career ended with rheumatoid arthritis. I played a whole year of league football with rheumatoid arthritis. That's a whole story in itself. But what that did is it developed in you, because all these things are within us, and experience brings them out. And if you don't have experience, often they don't come out. So I have this phrase, life tends to give us our greatest gifts, brilliantly disguised as our worst nightmares. Mm. Because often our worst nightmare will bring things out of us that wouldn't otherwise happen. This is why if you bring your kids up and you protect them from everything, you're doing them no favors, because you're not developing strong people who will be able to deal with life. You're developing people who are always looking to be protected. And look at what we have now. And once you have a generation or you have a population that wants to be protected and perceives itself all the time as being a victim, where does the point of power move? It moves to authority, because people look to authority to protect them from what they fear or what they feel victimized by. So what we've been developing is a population of emotionally weak people who perceive themselves in terms of victims. When you have challenges in life and you meet them, it brings something out of you. So, for instance, when my arthritis came, and I didn't know what else am I going to do at that time. I wanted to be a footballer. I wanted to be a footballer since I was a kid. And now my joints are swelling up, and they're telling me I'm going to have to pack it in. Now I thought, I'm not packing it in. I want to give it a go. So I went to a club called Hereford United that was a league club then. And I played the whole season with rheumatoid arthritis. Every morning when we were training and warming up for training on cold English mornings, I was in agony. And I would be limping and what have you, and the players would say, "Oh, what's wrong now, Icke?" And I would give a different excuse. "Oh, I've got a bit of a pull. Oh, I think I've got a bit of a blister." But actually it was the same thing all the time. And I played the season out, and eventually it got so bad that I couldn't carry on. But it brought something out of me, this determination not to give up and not to give in. And then I decided, because when I was a kid, I was always reading newspapers, and I was very interested in journalism. So I became a journalist, and long story short, I eventually became a television presenter.
Well, very well known back then.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was a national television presenter in those days. And when I look at my life now, you see, and what I'm doing, my life before, which appeared to be a series of random events. Same with you. You've had your challenges in life. What has it done? It's made you the person you are. You wouldn't be the person you are now without them. Mm-hmm. And people say, "Well, I regret that. Well, the thing to regret is if you don't learn from the experience. That's the regret. But learning from the experience, well, you've had a gift. What are you regretting for?
Did you ever question yourself there, David, and think, am I losing my mind? Do I need to go and get help? Or did it just feel right for you? Did you understand it a bit more?
Well, it felt right to me. I would say I completely understood it then. It felt right to me. And I did what I always do, like I've just mentioned earlier. I thought, okay, I'm going with this, and we're going to see where it's going to go. And I didn't know where it was going, but I'm going to go with this and see where it goes. And people were coming up to me after that, unfreezing, and they were saying, they thought you'd gone mad. You're the same Dave we used to know. But I wasn't. I appeared to be, but I wasn't. I was seeing the world in a completely different way. And of course, in a world which is overwhelmingly programmed to see the world in a certain way, it's what happens through the education system and the media and peer pressure. It's very, very narrow band of sense of the possible, sense of what is. When you start talking about things that are different to that, then immediately the reaction is you're crazy or you're dangerous, or in my case, you're both. But what followed, of course, was mass ridicule as a result of the Wogan show. And people said, it must have been horrible. Well, it was, but it was the greatest gift I ever have been given, because it set me free of the prison that most people live in, which is the fear of what other people think. When you literally can't walk down the street without being laughed at. I mean, I lived my life for a long time after that to the sound of distant or even close laughter. Going into a pub, forget it. So you either go under and you disappear.
What the majority of people do.
Yeah, or you come out like steel honed in the fire, and you let go of this prison, this ball and chain that most of the population of the world live in, the fear of what other people think. Most people, the vast majority of people, because of this fear, are not living their truth, they're not living their life, they're not living their uniqueness, they're living what they think is acceptable to other people's version of what they should be. So they go through mental gymnastics before saying things, even more today with political correctness and all this bollocks. What can I say? Look at the range of things you perceive. Is that really the limit of what there is to perceive? Is that really the limit of what there is to know? Is that the limit of ways of seeing the subjects you have views about? Well, of course not. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction. Anybody's views are a tiny fraction of possibility. So why aren't we exploring all possibility? Not that you come across information and just because you come across it, oh, that's true, then I'll believe that now. No, you question it, you process it, you come to conclusions about it. But it's very simple, and history shows us this. Systematically reducing the amount of information, views, and diversity of information and views available to people never ends up well. It never turns out good. It always turns out bad for humanity. Because you look at any tyranny, fascist tyranny, communist tyranny, whatever it is, whenever they get power, they want to destroy all alternative information and view that challenges what they want people to believe. Every time. So whenever you're in a situation where the free flow of information and view and opinion is being censored, you are in a tyranny. And what humanity has allowed itself, not everybody, of course, but great numbers, especially the political correctness groupies, is they've allowed themselves to become a tyranny while claiming to be anti-tyranny. I see anti-fascist protests full of people acting fascistically because they're so far up their own arse and so full of their own self-purity, they don't realize that what they're doing is actually projecting their own behavior in what they're opposing. Anyone who gives someone a hard time for having a different view, however much they may not agree with it, is a psychological fascist, in my view, because they are seeking to impose their will on someone else. And it's quite simple. You let all information be circulated, and then people make their own minds up what they want to believe and what they don't believe. And this is a key. What we're seeing now, not least through algorithms, and through self-censorship by being intimidated into being terrified of speaking your truth, we're seeing information censored before the point of delivery, before anyone can hear it. This is fundamental because I believe that all information and all views should be allowed to be expressed. Because if anyone is censored from expressing those beliefs, then no one has freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech, the freedom to speak. It's not freedom to speak what is acceptable, it's the freedom to speak. And once anyone is censored, freedom of speech is dead, because what's left is only what is acceptable to speak, and that's not freedom of speech. And then what they've done and what they're doing all the time is squeezing that acceptability, so freedom of speech gets narrower and narrower until it disappears altogether. And so what we have is a situation where if people are allowed to say and communicate whatever they want, that is a situation where no authority in any form has the power to decide what people see and hear. Once you start censoring before the point of delivery, which, as I say, algorithms and self-censorship is now doing, you are giving authority the power to decide what people see and hear. And of course, it starts out with one excuse. We must stop jihadis, justifying or promoting violence. Okay. Oh, fake news. Fake news. What's fake news? Whatever we say it is. We've got to stop people saying fake news, so we're going to censor that. The more people we can get to be victims and upset, the more excuses we've got to censor even more, right? Yeah. So give people all the excuses they want to be upset and to feel a victim, and then we can censor people saying things that upset them. And so you're moving along this road. None of that can happen when we have the free flow of information, nothing censored. This technological society is a Trojan horse of monumental proportions. And if people remember nothing, they should remember this. They're now openly talking, people like Ray Kurzweil at the Google executive, Google, Facebook, all these organizations, Amazon, they're all controlled by the same force to the same end. That's why they're becoming monopolies. They're dictating to people what they can see and hear and all that stuff. It's all planned. But what Ray Kurzweil is talking about now, and people like him, is that by around the year 2030, humanity will have their brains connected to artificial intelligence. And he's very open about it. As this goes on, artificial intelligence will do more and more of human thinking until human thinking as we know it now is basically negligible. In other words, you'll be a computer terminal on someone else's internet. And the reason they're being so open about it is the sales pitch, which is you'll be superhuman if you do this. And what you'll be is subhuman, and human consciousness, human thought, human emotion as we've known it will be over. Because every thought, every emotional response will come from AI. He who controls AI will then control every human's perceptions directly who is connected to AI. And we've been taken along a very clear process to take us to that point. Stage one, see, I'm coming up 67. And I'm glad I was born when I have, doing what I'm doing now, because I have a radar. I can remember what the world was like before. People born into it. You see, when you get born into the world you think the world is how it is because you're born into it. This is how it is, okay? But it's not how it always was. And when you're born into the world as it is, you don't really have so much of a compass to get a fix on the world as it is, because it's just how it is. When you were born before it is as it is now, you have a compass, you have a comparison. You can see the scale, the stunning scale of the change, not least since this technological society kicked in and then went kind of on steroids. Stage one, you get the population addicted to technology they can hold. Well, basically achieved, smartphones, tablets, etc. And you target especially the young. Why? Because they're going to be the adults at the point you want to bring in this full-blown AI-controlled human. You want them so addicted and obsessed with technology that, as happens now, on one expression of it, they'll get up in the middle of the night and go and queue in the dark outside an Apple bloody store to get the first version of the new thing. Get them addicted enough, and they'll queue up waiting to be connected to AI, right? So that's why they're targeting the young. Stage two, because what you want to do, you want to get in the body. And if they went directly to the body without anything in between, people would go, what's going on? Totalitarian tiptoe, you see. So the next stage is on the body, what they call wearables, holdables to wearables. This is your Apple Watch and your Bluetooth and all these gadgets now that people wear that are connected to the internet. And then you go to the next stage, which is in the body. I spoke a little while ago, last year, in Sweden. And people, thousands of people now in Sweden are being microchipped. And queuing up for it, having parties to celebrate. Ethel's been microchipped. And this is what happens with addiction. It's called addiction for a reason. You were addicted. And so this has been the process that is taking us along. Here, kitty, 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 here, kitty, 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 along this road to the point where they want to introduce fully blown AI-controlled humans. This is where it's going, and it's within the lifetime, well within the lifetime of people alive today. Even those that aren't young, it's within their lifetimes too. And all these diversions, look here, smell this, look at this, hear this, are all to stop us going, deep breath, take a step back, look at it again. Shite! Look what they're doing. And that's what I'm doing. You know, I'm pointing this out. I'm saying, over here, see? Sofa, elephant, not giraffe, elephant. There it is.
Before we finish up, David, I want to touch on how true is the harp, the weather control? How true is that?
100%.
Yeah.
What is weather? It's energy. What is the weather? It's electromagnetic information fields.
So there's something out there that controls the weather. The harp, is it a harp system? The harp effect?
Well, the harp in Alaska is one of them. They're called ionosphere heaters. But there's many of them now. And they are high-powered radio frequency technology that manipulates the electromagnetic field of the planet. And within that electromagnetic field are the fields of energy that we call weather. So if you can manipulate those fields to act in different ways, you can manipulate the weather. You can create hurricanes, you can create tornadoes. You know what a tornado is? It's a fast-rotating electromagnetic field. That's all it is. That's why they appear during electrical storms. It's electromagnetic field spinning. And you can spin electromagnetic fields and create tornadoes. You can manipulate the field so that rain doesn't manifest. You can create a drought, or you can make rain manifest massively, and you can get floods. This is what you can do. In fact, I'll give you just a very quick example going way back to, what was it, the 50s, I think it was, 60s, 50s, I think it was. There was a rainstorm in a place called Lynmouth in Devon that was so fantastic in such a short time that the river that comes down, actually the stream, not really a river, down through the town into the sea, was a vast wall of water that killed a great number of people. I think it was 1952 keeps coming to mind. Destroyed so many houses, devastated the place. And it was 250 times the rainfall that would be expected in that area, right? All these years later, decades and decades later, BBC Radio, to be fair, they don't do many good investigations, but this was one. They did an investigation program that established that the RAF had flown over that area just before, and they'd sent out chemicals into the clouds that stimulated rain. It was an experiment.
So that's chemtrails?
Well, that's chemtrails, which are, of course, they come out the back of planes, and not contrails because they disappear because they're based on condensation and heat. Chemtrails come out of the plane and don't disappear. They just pan out and eventually fall to Earth. Well, they're full of lots of things. And yes, they are indirectly affecting the weather and affecting many other things. My last book was called Everything You Need to Know and have never been told, and it goes into some of this in detail that we're talking about now and all the other stuff we talked about. But manipulating the weather is very straightforward these days through technology. But remember, I said they manipulate the weather by manipulating electromagnetic fields that dictate the weather. The body, the brain, is an expression of electromagnetic fields and electrical circuits. Technologically generated electromagnetic fields and electrical circuits, Wi-Fi, phone communications, this lethal stuff they're bringing in now, which is actually a weapon called 5G, are fundamentally impacting upon the electromagnetic fields of the body, which affect people psychologically and which affect them, quote, physically and emotionally. It's why you get so many people who are close to these towers that suffer from depression. It's because they're being affected by the technological electromagnetic impact on their field, which expresses itself psychologically in terms of emotion, in terms of physicality. And the body's electromagnetic fields, when they're in a balanced, harmonious state, equal physical health, a lack of dis-ease, disharmony. When you start impacting upon the balance of that field, you create disharmony, and through that you get physical dis-ease, which is just an expression of electromagnetic disharmony.
Disease causes disease.
This is why people that work or live close to these sources of electromagnetic energy, with their phone towers or whatever, are so they get cancers that are very rare in the population because they have certain effects that go on. This is why radiation is dangerous. This is why radiation affects you. And of course, what we're living in now, almost everywhere, is a permanent state of walking, living, and breathing through electromagnetic, technologically generated fields.
Do you think there's a cure for everything, David?
Eh?
Do you think there's a cure for everything?
Of course there is.
Yeah.
If everything can go wrong,
Can go right.
everything can go right. It's just finding out what can go right. And if you are the mainstream medical profession, which is basically just an extension of the pharmaceutical industry, that's all it is, then you are not given the full range of possibility to treat dis-ease, disharmony. You're given the scalpel and the drug. In other words, you're given a bloody hammer. And you're told that every human problem, be it psychological, emotional, or physical, is a frickin' nail. And so, oh, what have you got? Oh, I'm depressed. Oh, over here, bang, there you go. You'll get that at the drugstore. And because the medical profession is just another expression of the postage stamp consensus, as I call it, this narrow band of information that people not only believe in, but are forced in terms of the medical profession to believe in. Because you want to, I know people, doctors, who've realized that alternative methods of healing are better than what they do, the scalpel and the drug. They've been struck off for using them, even though it benefits the patient, because the pharmaceutical industry controls the medical profession. This is why now we're seeing this war on the circulation of information challenging the official story of vaccines. This is why YouTube is demonetizing and deleting, same with Amazon and Facebook, information that's challenging the official story of vaccines. One of the reasons in the immigration minister's diatribe in Australia, saying why my visa is going to be revoked 4 hours before my plane left for Australia and like months and months after I was given it, was my views on vaccines. So, and my views on climate change caused by humans, which it isn't. Climate's always frickin' changed. But that means that in Australia, in a society that believes it's free, the pharmaceutical industry that makes billions and billions of pounds out of vaccines can say what it likes about vaccines, but me, from me one-bedroom flat on the Isle of Wight, can't go to Australia and give a different view. Now, we're back to something else. Why is the Australian government, which is an asset of the pharmaceutical industry like all of them, why is it so terrified of me? Why a doctor called Sherry Tenpenny from America, who is a big challenger of vaccinations, she was also banned from Australia. Now, so you've got the vastness of the pharmaceutical industry that can advertise its products and vaccines on the television, but they're terrified of a handful of people going to Australia and challenging that. You know why? Because they can't win the debate. And they're so aware they can't win the debate, they're so aware it's a scam, certainly at the pharmaceutical level, that they have to shut up everybody, even the smallest voice giving another view. And my ban from Australia was a big wake-up call for Australians. I think the petition to get me in is, closing in on 20,000 now, because it reminded them and put in their face, Australia may seem to be a free country, but it's not. Britain may seem to be a free country, it's not. Neither's America. These are illusions. And they're terrified of other opinions. Of course, they know that what they're trying to sell the public across the range of subjects is a load of old bollocks that will not stand up to factual scrutiny. Well, what transformed my life and what would transform anybody's life is to reassess their self-identity. Stop self-identifying with labels. Stop saying that's who I am. No, that's what you're experiencing. What you are is the awareness, the eternal state of awareness that is having the experience. And if you come from that point of view, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune and outrageous abuse and Twitter storms are like, and? But if you identify with the labels, it becomes massive, it becomes all-encompassing. And I would say this more than anything else, and I'll say this to the kids, okay? The suicide of kids is just going through the frickin' roof, right? In the social media era. A lot of it is lack of self-respect coming from all the abuse and all the impositions of what you should be, and you're not good enough, and you should be this and you're not. Remember that you are what you are, and what you are now can be something else whenever you choose to become the totality of what you are instead of the little me that you think you are. But if you look at it, the people who are abusing you, who are ridiculing you, who are telling you you're not good enough, right? Well, who the hell are they? Who are they? Who are they? Why do they matter? I can tell you from personal experience that people who abused me years ago are now coming to my talks and reading my books. Because the thing is that they'll think something else tomorrow. That's for sure. Whatever they're saying now, they'll think something else tomorrow, and they'll say something else tomorrow. But the point is, the key point, what the hell does it matter what they think about you? What does it matter? Oh, that person doesn't like you and gives you a hard time. Well, go and find someone else then. Stop interacting with them. Go find some other people to interact with. Who are these people? Why are you allowing your life to be dictated by the opinions of other people? You are unique. No, you're not like they are, thank God, most of the time. So why are you worried about what they think? Why are you even worried, if you get it down to real basics, what your parents think of you? Because you are what you are. And, for me, the greatest gift you can give to your kids is to allow them to be what they are, to allow them to go in the direction that they feel to go into, instead of dictating to them the direction their life should take. Oh, you can't do that, or you can't do that, or what will the neighbors think? I mean, what will the neighbors think? Who cares? Let them think what they like. It doesn't matter. And I'll tell you from experience, it really doesn't matter what people say about you, what people do about you, what people think about you, so long as you don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you don't listen to people and say, oh, yeah, they've got a point there. Maybe I'll look at that. That's not the same thing. It's being intimidated and being broken in spirit by how other people see you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because anyone who's ever done anything in the world, look out all the way through history, anyone who's made a real positive difference to the world has overwhelmingly faced ridicule and abuse before they were accepted to have been right all along.
And majority get accepted after they're dead.
Yeah, exactly. And if they had succumbed to fearing and responding to how people initially felt about them, they would not have done what they did, which was eventually accepted to be correct. So when you're in a world, a programmed world with such narrow programmed perceptions of reality, if you stray beyond that, you're going to get laughed at, you're going to get ridiculed, you're going to get abused. So what? It doesn't matter. It only matters if you think it matters. It's like we were talking earlier, what I said, every time we open our mouths, we think we're making statements about other people. We're not. We're making statements about ourselves every time we open our mouths. The thing is not to care. Once you care about what other people think about you, they have control of your life. That'll be the frickin' day.